She would often just sigh when we are watching TV, and when I ask her what was the matter, she would say, "I don't know, I feel sad." No matter how many times I asked, "Do you want to talk about it? Can you explain those feelings to me? Can I do something?" she would say she doesn't feel like talking about it. And once she even got pissed as hell after I asked her to tell me what's wrong 10 times in a row. We've often talked about getting married, and even though I wanted to marry the love of my life, I was kind of scared about it. I was fatter than before, and anxious just thinking about getting fitted for a suit and photos. My family is not so easygoing, and I was scared that it would make me look bad to them. I know. I am ashamed of this. Then we got hooked on the idea of having a baby and building our own house. Well, the physical aspect of our relationship was still an issue, but I figured we now had the same common goal, and maybe if we started working on it, it would make things for the better. I had less than 2 years left on my loan, and we planned after that I'd take another one and make the first step into making our own little nest. We started looking for ideas and looking for places where we could do it cheaply. Second breakup. Less than a year ago, she decided to split up. She said she felt like I don't listen to her, like I don't care about her, like her life has passed and she wasted it with me. First, she told me that the past few years were a waste of time. Then the past 4 years. And finally, the more and more we talked, she told me that only the first few years were good and everything else was a waste of time. We both love each other, but just as friends, and we just got used to being together even though I didn't feel like that. We've both come to the point where we know that everything started with abortion, and that our problem was a lack of communication. She said that she wanted to get married, have a baby, and we did none of those. Then when I asked her how she planned to have a baby when I am not allowed to touch her, she said she hadn't felt like being romantic with me for the past few years, and she decided she wasn't going to ever again. When I asked her if there was anyone else in her life, she told me there is a guy she has a crush on. But that isn't the reason for this, and she doesn't want to have anything significant with him. I felt crushed when she said the time with me was wasted since that wasn't my intention. I was passive, but this was the person I wanted to spend time with. We cried together, and I comforted her that she was right to do that. I tried everything for her to give us another chance, but that was it. I said I was going to move out as soon as I could and slept on the couch. Our relationship during that time was pretty much cold, avoiding each other, but sometimes we would order food and watch movies together. Cheating. A few weeks later, she said she was going with colleagues out of town on a business trip for a few days. She came back, and most of the time, she just wouldn't come out of the room. I couldn't sleep for a week, so I finally decided to have one last talk to see if she changed her mind or if I could do anything to smooth things out. I felt she was weird and kind of lost when talking. I pressured her into talking, and finally, she burst out crying and telling me that she cheated me on her business trip with some colleague who lives in another town. I was furious. We both stayed home that day from work, and she told me that she met him once a few months ago. They started chatting and she liked him. What she admitted was that she had been chatting with him for months. He gave her all the attention that she was lacking, even though here I was, the one always tiptoeing around her, sending her messages and calling her whenever I could, just to see how she is and what's she doing. I asked her what were they talking about all that time. It was like everything about how he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her, what he wanted to do with her physically, and so on. I couldn't believe she was telling me all this. She was begging me to forgive her and that she would do anything just to get past this. She even offered to go to the bedroom with me. A few days later, her phone rings at late night and she ends the call. Then she put on her jacket and said she was going to the store. I looked at her and asked calmly but sternly, "Show me who called." She started panicking and said it was him, that she just wanted to get out to tell him to leave her alone. Cue another huge fight. I just couldn't handle all of that, so I started taking some pills to calm me down and aspirin since my heart felt like it was about to burst. About a week after she told me, we started talking, and I tried to push myself to see if I could forgive her. I just wanted that dream of a house and a kid with the love of my life not to be a dream anymore. To shorten this part, we decided to give it a shot and give it 3 to 4 months to see if we can make it work. Some days we would just chill trying to pretend nothing had happened, and some days we would talk a lot, Most of the time, it would end up in a huge mess, yelling at each other and sometimes laughing. The thing is that usually we would talk about all the bad stuff I did, and whenever we would start talking about the cheating part, she would just say she was sorry, it wasn't supposed to happen, and that she made a mistake. Last time she told me, "I am done feeling guilty about that. I said what I had to say to you." Whenever I pointed out that I wanted to see the messages, she said she wasn't ready, and after some time that she didn't want me to see them. When I asked her who else knew about it, she said no one. But pressuring her into talking again, I knew who influenced her. A friend who had recently broken up with her own long-term boyfriend, and her colleague, which she always described as slutty and dumb. She also spent more time than usual during those few months chatting with these two. And guess what? Both of them knew about it. They knew about him and that she liked him. And I knew that they were her go-to girls for a cheater's pep talk. Ending. Well, that's it. We tried talking a few times. But in the end, she just said she was tired of talking. She didn't want to risk spending any more time on this relationship because she doesn't know if it will ever pay off for her. She doesn't want to talk about it anymore because it makes her cry, and it's hard because we always fight. I am also done and moving out. I just wanted to try everything, but for these few months, she didn't try one thing to improve the way we communicated or anything that we agreed that we were going to do. Be more open and honest, not be so hard on each other. Honestly, I wanted just to vent and write a few sentences to get some advice or motivation, but as soon as I started writing, I just couldn't keep it simple or short, as I wanted to explain the whole situation so you can make judgments for yourself. Thanks for reading this far. Hit the like button for more content and subscribe for notifications. Thank you, guys.